यमुनतीरवनचारी जय रात माधव कुंज बिहारी जय रात माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारि यमुनातीरावनचारि जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक स्तोत्र सर्वस्य श्रीमद् इस्लाम के शेष भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। इसका संस्थापक आचार्य शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक स्तोत्र सर्वस्य श्रीमद् शील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद लकुर किशोर दास महाराज की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद सच्चिदानंद शील भक्ति ठाकुर की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव साधु श्री जगन्नाथ दास महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास अविनाश गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री मायपुर धाम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगामयी की जय। यमुनमयी की जय। भक्ति देव की तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री हरनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय। इसको वर्तमान गुरुवंत की जय। समावेद वक्त की जय। गौरव प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the Ascent. It's all glories to the Ascent. It's all glories to the Ascent. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु पत्रेषु नित्यं भागवतस्लो सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna, welcome to this Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, Text 26. Yashah Shipam Shushrava Arya Sangame Yadrichaya Chapashunoti Te Sakrit Katam Gunajno Viramed Vina Pashum Shriryat Shriryat Prabhavre Guna Sangra Echaya Yashashivam Shushava Arya Sangame Yadrichaya Chopashinoti Te Sakrit Katam Gunajno Viramed Vina Pashum Shriryat Prabhavre Guna Sangra Echaya Yashashivam Shushava Arya Sangame Yadrichaya Chopashinoti Te Sakrit Katam Gunajno Viramed Vina Pashum Shriryat Prabhavre Guna Sangrahechaya. Translation Srila Prabhupada Vijay. My dear highly glorified Lord, if one in the association of pure devotees hears even once the glories of your activities, he does not, unless he is nothing but an animal, give up the association of devotees, for no intelligent person would be so careless as to leave their association. The perfection of chanting and hearing about your glories was accepted even by the goddess of fortune, who desired to hear of your unlimited activities and transcendental glories. But the association of devotees, Arya Sangama, is the most important factor in this world. The word Arya refers to those who are advancing spiritually. In the history of the human race, the Aryan family is considered to be the most elevated community in the world because it adopts the Vedic civilization. The Aryan family is distributed all over the world and is known as Indo-Aryan. In prehistoric days, all of the members of the Aryan family followed the Vedic principles and therefore they became spiritually advanced. The kings known as Raja Rishis were so perfectly educated as Kshatriyas or protectors of the citizens and so greatly advanced in spiritual life that there was not a sorry that there was not a bit of trouble for the citizens. The glorification of the Supreme Lord can be very much appreciated by the Aryan family. Although there is no bar for others, the members of the Aryan family were very quickly catch the essence of spiritual life. How is it that we are finding it very easy to spread Krishna consciousness among the Europeans and Americans? History reports that Americans and Europeans proved their capability when they were anxious to expand colonization, but at the present time, being contaminated by the advancement of material science, their sons and grandsons are turning into reprobates. This is due to their having lost their original spiritual culture, which is Vedic civilization. Presently, these descendants of the Aryan family are taking this Krishna conscious movement very seriously. Others who are associating with them and hearing the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra from the lips of pure devotees are also becoming captivated by the transcendental vibration. Transcendental vibrations are very much effective when chanted among Aryans, but even though one does not belong to the Aryan family, he will become a Vaishnava simply by hearing the mantra because the vibration has great influence over everyone. Maharaja Prithu points out that even the goddess of fortune, who is the constant companion of Lord Narayana, especially wanted to hear about the Lord's glories and for the association of the gopis, who are pure devotees. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, underwent severe austerities. The impersonalist may ask why one should bother about chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra continually for so many years instead of stopping and trying for Kaivalya, liberation or merging into the existence of the Lord. In answer, Maharaja Prithu maintained that the attraction of this chanting is so great that one cannot give up the process unless he is an animal. This is the case even if one comes in contact with this transcendental vibration by chance. Prithu Maharaj is very emphatic in this connection. Only an animal can give up the practice of chanting Hare Krishna. Those who are not animals but actually intelligent, advanced, human civilized men cannot give up this practice of continuously chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Moham Karut Vachal Pakam Reading Patwam Shigam Padman Shikshan Mission Mukhyarthi Rasan Ananja Salaka Chakshis Miltamina Tasman Shigurevana Shri Chaitanya Bhishtam Stapitam in a Botule Swine Bukatamahyam Radati Swapadikam Mandeham Shiguram Jivita Padakamalam Shiguram Vishnavamscha Shri Vam Sakarjatam Sagana Ragunathan Vitam Tam Srivam Satvaitam Savaditam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sanjotina Banto Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhem Dhavaneshwari Vishabhaniste Devi Padamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kapasini Chapatitanam Pavne Vaishnava Naman Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So here we see that the Lord asked Prithu Maharaj to take some benedictions, and Prithu Maharaj, of course, took those benedictions. Thereafter, he's praising the Lord with so many other qualities. In this verse, Prithu Maharaj is glorifying the Lord, says, "My dear, highly glorified Lord, if one in the association of pure devotees, even hears even once the glories of your activities, he does not, unless he's nothing but an animal, give up the association of devotees. For no intelligent person would be so careless to leave the association. The perfection of chanting and hearing about your glories are accepted even by the goddess of fortune, who decide to hear of your unlimited activities and transcendent glories." So the first point is that he is glorifying the Lord by saying, "My dear, highly glorified Lord." The Lord is the only object of glorification. There is no other object of glorification. That's why he's starting that verse with, "My dear, highly glorified Lord." Then there is one important point here. The Lord is glorified in select poetry. And we chant the Srimad Bhagavatam verses also in the form of a poetry. That is one of the reasons the Lord is known as Uttama Sloka. Uttama Sloka means he is glorified by beautiful verses. Now, coming to this particular verse today, it stresses on the importance of hearing in the association of devotees of the Lord. So in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an mention of how Narad Muni is informing Vyasadeva. He says that learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of advancement of knowledge and every austerities, study of Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. That means whatever activities we do for glorification of the Lord by means of knowledge or austerities or by study of the Vedas or by performing sacrifices or by chanting of the hymns, it includes the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra also, everything culminates in only one thing, that is describing the Lord who is defined in choice poetry, which is what is I narrated as Uttama Sloka. We'll go through some of the examples. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a mention of how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was narrating a past of Narad Muni with the hunter Mrigari. Narad Muni went to Prayag once to bathe in the confluence of the three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. There he saw a deer which was pierced by an arrow with broken legs and suffering in too much of pain. He went further and he saw a boar with legs broken and suffering in pain. He further went and he saw a rabbit in similar condition. Then he went further and he saw this hunter Mrigari, who was ready with his arrows to kill the next prey. So when Narad Muni went to the hunter, all the animals started running away. And the hunter Mrigari was unhappy because the animals ran away seeing Narad Muni. So Mrigari asked Narad Muni, "Why did you come here? And seeing you, all the animals have fled away." Narad Muni replied, "I have come to you to settle a doubt in my mind." He said, I was wondering in all these, and I was wondering if all these half-killed animals have been, why didn't you kill them all together? Mrigari said, yes. You should have done it then. Mrigari replied, my name is Mrigari, the enemy of animals. And my father taught me only to kill them this way. So Mrigari was taking pleasure in killing the animals halfway, not killing them fully. So he says that when I see them half killed, I derive some pleasure. Then Narad Muni says, uh, cut it short. If you kill like this and they suffer a lot of pain and you have to suffer in retaliation, if you kill, that itself is a sin. And if you cause them more pain, that is more sinful. So all the animals that you have killed so far are waiting to kill you in retaliation. That means the point is that if you kill somebody, they have to kill you back. So Narad Muni said that they are all waiting all together. You have killed so many animals and you have incurred a lot of sin, and they are all waiting when they can kill you in your next life. Then Margari asked, how can I counter this sinful reaction? And Narad Muni said, now the point is you surrender and you take my instructions. Whatever I tell you, you will become free of all the sinful reactions. He said, first you throw this bow, break and throw this bow. And thereafter, Mrigari asked, what will happen to my food? Because if I stop killing, I need food to eat. And Narad Muni said, don't worry, I will arrange for it. Then Mrigari fell at his feet and Narad Muni gave instructions. He said that whatever riches you have, you give it all. Don't keep it to yourself, and I will take care of your food. Then Magari fell at Narad Muni's feet, and then observed his instructions. Narad Muni said that build a small cottage and plant a tulsi plant there. And in front of that, every day, circumambulate the plant and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. I shall arrange for you to get your daily food. So Narad Muni then was a mystic himself. He was a great yogi. So he brought all the dead animals back to consciousness, and they all ran away. Then Mrigari was struck with wonder how Narad Muni could do this. So after Narad Muni left, the villagers learned that this Mrigari had changed his attitude and he had become a Vaishnava. So when they realized this, then they all brought a lot of prasadam, and Mrigari could not honor so much of prasadam. So then after some time, again Narad Muni came with Parvata Muni. Then Mrigari ran towards Narad Muni and they offered his obeisances. And this time what he did was he took a piece of cloth and offered obeisances, gently pushed the ants aside, because there were a lot of ants. He pushed the ants inside. So Narad Muni and Prabhat Muni saw this, and now Mrigari started washing their feet and drank that water, chanting the Mahamantra. And tears started coming out of his eyes. Narad Muni immediately asked Mrigari, do you get enough to eat? Mrigari said, please don't send so much because I'm not able to eat so much. Parvati Muni saw this and he said, this is the effect of associating with a devotee and practicing devotional service. So the point in today's verse is that if one in the association of pure devotees hears even once the glories of his Lord's activities, he does not, unless he is nothing but an animal, give up the association of devotees. Another example is about Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu went to Mandara mountain to execute a lot of austerities. So in his absence, the demigod headed by Indra, they made an attempt to subdue all the demons in the warfare. And in the process, they arrested Prahlad Mara's mother. So at that time, Narad Muni again appeared there and he said, Indra, don't kill this woman because after all, it is Hiranyakashipu. This woman has not committed any sin. You should not drag her like this in a very merciless way. And she's the wife of another and you must release her. Indra said, no, no, no. In this womb of this woman, there is a great demon and let us kill him because otherwise what will happen is the child will also become a demon and he'll be a big terror for us. Narad Muni said, the child in the woman's womb is faultless and he has not committed any sin. And actually, if you ask, he's a great devotee of the Lord. and you will not be able to kill him, whatever attempt you made. Finally, Indra offered respects to Narad Muni. He released Kayadu, who was the wife of Hiranyakashipu, and Narad Muni took Kayadu to his ashrama and gave an assurance that of giving her all the protection, saying, "You please remain in my ashrama until Hiranyakashipu comes back from the austerities." So Kayadu stayed in Narad Muni's custody until Hiranyakashipu completed his austerities. Now, Kayadu wanted somehow Prahlad Maharaj to be delivered. So Narad Muni gave a lot of instructions to Kayadu. But what happened was, Kayadu being a woman, and because she was at a very old age, she forgot all the instructions. But Prahlad Maharaj, who was inside her womb, did not forget. So in the process, what happened is that Prahlad Maharaj was, Hiranyakashipu made many attempts to kill Prahlad Maharaj, because Hiranyakashipu was a demon by nature, and he was an atheist. And Prahlad Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord, and Hiranyakashipu became envious of the Lord. So he made many attempts to kill Prahlad Maharaj, and he could not. So this is how Prahlad Maharaj was protected by the Lord himself. The point is that association of devotees is the most important factor. And here Srila Prabhupada mentions about a word called Arya. So we'll understand a few important points about this Arya. See, Arya means it is for those who are advancing spiritually. So in the history of the human race, it is said the Aryan family is considered to be the most elevated community in the world because they adopt Vedic civilization. So in the prehistoric days, actually, if we see even up to Mahabharata, the whole country was known as one country, that was Bharat. So most of them, the Vedic civilization was spread throughout, and the Aryan family was there all around. But these families are called Aryan because they were all following the Vedic principles, and therefore they all became spiritually advanced. But thereafter, what happened was, with the division of countries, people, the Europeans and Westerners, they got distributed. And though there were some Aryans, many became materialistic because that's how the European and Western countries became. They started advancing in materialistic science. So in the third canto, there is a quote that advancement does not mean creating material necessities unnecessarily and thus wasting human energy in aggravation over so-called material comforts. Real advancement is advancement towards spiritual realization, and the community which acted toward this end was known as Aryan civilization. So what happened was that when the countries got divided into so many parts, the Westerners and the Americans, they started advancing in material science, and they started designing and manufacturing products that were not required. Take any this thing today, Srila Prabhupada always mentioned, the world was surviving even without motor cars, and same with the case with washing machines. People never had uh, washing machines, and you have also machines for washing vessels. So the civilization was living even without all these things. But after all these things have come, they have added a lot of burden in the form, for example, if you take cars, they have added pollution, they have added traffic jams, they have added accidents, which were never there, and people were living peacefully. Now, even every family wants to have so many cars, and they are not able to live peacefully. And similarly, people were active, and they had a healthy life because they were washing vessels or clothes on their own without the machines. So all these unnecessary material products have only brought disaster into civilization. So that's why it is mentioned that Aryan civilization is one which progresses spiritually, not materially. Then there is a quote in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam which says that devotees should not make plans for self-interest. Preachers sometimes may have to make some plan to execute the mission of the Lord, but regarding personal self-interest, a devotee should always be without diplomacy, and he should avoid the company of persons who are not advancing in spiritual life. So that means devotional service is something where there is no duplicity. Duplicity means you say something and you do something behind. You say something and do something which is in contrast, which is contrary or not in line with what you say. That is what is called diplomacy. Or you don't speak straight away the truth, but you're trying to drag it around and speak in a different way. These are all diplomacy and duplicity. So here in this particular place, Srila Prabhupada says that Aryans are persons who are advancing in knowledge of Krishna consciousness as well as in material prosperity. The difference between Aryans and non-Aryan is the Sura and Asura in their standards of spiritual advancement. And association with persons who are not spiritual advancement is forbidden. That means one should not try to associate with those who are not advancing spiritually. Then the third canto itself, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Aryan refers to those who are civilized, whose manners are regulated according to Vedic rituals. So everything goes back to only Vedic civilization based on the instructions that are given in the Vedas. And further, he says that any devotee who is chanting the holy name of the Lord is the best kind of Aryan. Unless one studies the Vedas, one cannot become an Aryan, but it is automatically understood that the chanters have already studied all the Vedic literature. So there are so many quotes in Srimad Bhagavatam also, which says that anyone who's chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra has already studied all the Vedas. Then in the fourth canto, there's a quote that which says that people training to become devotees should be respectful, not only to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also to those who are elderly in knowledge, who are Aryans and actual devotees of the Lord. An Aryan is one who does not boast, but is an actual devotee of the Lord. Aryan means advance. And formerly, those who claim to be Aryans had to be devotees of the Lord. That means only devotees of the Lord are called Aryans, and the true Aryans don't boast about themselves by their knowledge. That means they don't try to self-propagate. Then the sixth canto is mentioned that men are killing trees. They are killing animals and they are killing other human beings also for sense gratification. This is not an Aryan civilization. All living entities should be protected, whether higher or lower grades of life. And all living beings have a right to live, even including trees and plants. And that is the basic principle of Aryan civilization. So many definitions are given. In the sixth canto, again, there is particular reference to eating the flesh of cows. It says a civilization must do something progressive. Then it is an Aryan civilization. Instead of killing the cow to eat flesh, civilized men must prepare various milk products that will enhance the condition of society. If one follows the Brahminical culture, he will become competent in Krishna consciousness. That is true Aryan civilization. That means instead of trying to kill flesh of animals, one can make very good good preparations from various milk products. That is the true identity of an Aryan civilization. In the seventh canto, there is a mention of how when Arjuna refused to fight, he was refusing to fight based on bodily relationship with his kinsmen, and the Lord actually chastised him, saying that this bodily conception of life is befitting the Anaryas, the non-Aryans. That means you are chastising Arjuna, saying that you are behaving like a non-Aryan. An Aryan civilization is a civilization based on spiritual knowledge, not merely by stamping oneself as Aryan, one by becoming Aryan. To keep oneself in the deepest darkness concerning spiritual knowledge and at the same time claiming to be an Aryan is a non-Aryan position. That means if somebody claims to be a qualified Brahmana or a Vaishnava, by just stamping himself, but he lacks spiritual knowledge, he cannot be called as an Aryan or he cannot be called as a devotee of the Lord. The seventh canto itself, there's a mention as to how in the Aryan system is that in which a varnasrama system is properly established and practiced. So the Lord has established this varnasrama system of four varnas and four ashramas. And as long as the civilization practices this varnasrama system, that is a true Aryan system. Why? Because the varnasrama system ultimately leads to one becoming a devotee of the Lord. There is another point that is mentioned in this sloka, is that the kings were known as Raja Rishis. This is because the kings were all Raja, not only Rajas, but also Rishis. They were well educated in Vedic knowledge. And also, for them to rule the kingdom, they would always take shelter of Brahmanas who are well versed in Vedic knowledge. So they were well versed in practicing the Vedic knowledge. And so such a place is what is called Aryan civilization. Another point that is mentioned in today's purport is that the glorification of the Supreme Lord can be very much appreciated by the Aryan family. Though, of course, there is no bar for this. The point is that uh, devotees of the Lord know well how to glorify the Lord. The others also, there is no bar. They can also glorify the Lord. They can take slokas from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, recite wonderful prayers from Dhruva Maharaj prayers, Prahlad Maharaj prayers, and so many prayers, Queen Kunti's prayers, Bhishma Deva's prayers. So anyone who does this is automatically an Aryan. Srila Prabhupada mentions as to how he was able to preach Krishna consciousness. He mentions that historically, the Europeans and Americans had their capability for Vedic civilization because they were all a part of one country. So, but after over a period of time, with the division of countries, they lost. But their sons and grandsons are becoming devotees. That is how Srila Prabhupada, when he went to European American countries, they were able to take it up because their uh, uh, ancestors were all once upon a time practicing this Vedic civilization. But then somehow over a period of time they lost, but somehow their generations are taking up. And it is said that generally by Americans are by nature, they are very tough people in the world. That's why they are mostly into manufacture of arms and always they keep fighting. And it is said that by nature they are very proud of their skin, but they are very dirty by their living standards. And also they are very nasty when they deal with the black and the racist people. There's always a quarrel between them and the black people. White always think that the black are bad, the black always think that the whites are bad. So this is because basically based on the skin, but skin has nothing to do with Vedic civilization. But Srila Prabhupada went to all these places with a bald head and he wore a very clean saffron dress. And just by giving them their association, they became great devotees of the Lord. And it is said that Srila Prabhupada was like a touchstone. Wherever he was there, he was sitting even amongst the hippies or those who were unshaven, uncleaned, who had not taken bath for many months or years. He delivered everyone, whether Americans or Europeans or Negroes. He took Krishna to everyone and everywhere. So that is the power effect of hearing from a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada or his pure disciples. That is another important point, that transcendental vibrations are very much effective when chanted among Aryans. That means when the devotees of the Lord chant, that vibration has got a lot of effect on the others. And that is why it is said that even if one does not belong to an Aryan family, but he can still become a Vaishnava simply by hearing the mantra because the vibration has got an effect. So the two examples that I gave was about Prahlad Maharaj, who was a great devotee of the Lord. Another example was Bhargari himself, who became a great devotee, and he compiled the Ramayana. So the Shastras mentioned that there are two types of association. So association of devotees is more important than association with the Lord himself. Lord himself says that one who serves his devotee is more dear to him than one who tries to serve him directly. So to two types of association. So one is we directly serve the Lord, but still more important than that, directly serving a devotee of the Lord, because that's what the Lord, that is more dear to the Lord. So the service to a devotee is more important than service to the Lord. So one can go to the temple, see the deities, hear some Krishna Katha, but the point, the real conclusion is that one should hear from association of devotees. Similarly, on the contrary, it also says that association with women is dangerous for one to progress in spiritual life. But association with a person who is addicted to womanizing is more dangerous. So association with women itself is dangerous, but more dangerous is association with someone who is addicted to womanizing. So that is how it is. So one can get rid of all these unwanted qualities and sins by proper devotee association, by which and by proper chanting of the mantras and following the spiritual path which Srila Prabhupada has given, one can take to devotional life and one can get free from all the anarthas. There is one example in Ramayana. Uh, when Lord Rama went to the forest, it is said that the first person he met was a king named Guha. And this Guha was a Nishada by birth. This Nishada means they are all very low caste. But he was a very close friend of Lord Rama. But he had all the good qualities of a great devotee. And qualities were greater than that of even a superior Brahmana. And because of that, when he saw Lord Rama, he could fully surrender to himself, to Lord Rama. So after seeing that, when the Lord saw him, the Lord immediately embraced him with love and affection. Then Guha told Rama that this kingdom is yours, but please stay here as if this is your Ayodhya. I will be honored to have you as your guest. And he brought up lot of valuable gifts, beds of kusagrass, and a lot of food to eat. The Lord said, I accept everything that you brought with your heart, but I have decided to wear only kusagrass, tree bark, and deer skin. Because this is the vow that Lord Rama took when he left for the forest to live a renounced life. Then he said, I cannot utilize these gifts. Then Lord Rama stayed there for one night and Guha personally guarded them that night. The Lord then told Guha the next day when he was leaving, he said, I do not want to stay in a place surrounded by friends and relatives. I shall go to another uninhibited place like a rishi. And then he requested Guha to bring some milk extract from a banyan tree to mat his hair. So he wanted to mat his hair using milk from a banyan tree. And then it was further mentioned that Rama went on exile. And when he wound up his pastimes, before returning to Ayodhya, the Lord again came back to this place where Guha was there, and he stayed there. This is the importance of a person like Guha, who was a Nishada by birth, low caste birth, but he became a great devotee of the Lord just by the association of the Lord. On the other hand, if one hears Vedic mantras and so forth from a non-Vaishnava, it is like milk touched by a serpent, and it is poisonous. Prithu Maharaj in this sloka points out that even the goddess of fortune, who is the constant companion of Lord Narayana, wanted to hear about the Lord's glories, and for the association of gopis who are pure devotees, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi underwent severe austerity. So there is a mention in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. As we all know, the gopis are very dear devotees of Lord Krishna. And they were the only ones who could participate in the Rasa Leela performed by Lord Krishna. So when Lakshmi Devi actually eternally serves Lord Narayana. But when she came to know of this, that the gopis had got the fortune of associating with Lord Krishna, they performed a lot of austerities. Lakshmi Devi performed a lot of austerities just to get association like these gopis. We'll mention the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. One point that is mentioned here is that about impersonalism. Impersonalists generally want to have Kaivalya liberation, that is merging the Brahma Jyoti. But that Brahma Jyoti is like compared to a tube light coming from tube. So in this Kaivalyam, what happens is that the soul, after leaving the body, enters into the Brahma Jyoti, but then there is no activity. And the impersonalists generally believe that the soul merges with the super soul, but there is no merging. It remains there, but it remains without an activity. So it is better to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra instead of trying to retain one's individuality and go to other spiritual planets instead of trying to aim for impersonalism and trying to merge into the existence of the Lord. That's one point. Here also, there is one point about Prathu Maharaj says that the attraction of this chanting is so great that one cannot give up the process unless he is an animal. And he says this is the case even if one comes in contact with a transcendental vibration by chance. So here we see about the mention of animals. We must try to understand this point from a different perspective, because animals, if accidentally they get a chance to hear the transcendental vibration, they get some sukriti, it's called ajnana sukriti, that helps them in the subsequent births. They need not get directly a human birth. And some examples given the Shastras are like Bharat Maharaj himself, he had to take the body of a deer, but even the body of a deer, he had that accumulation of the devotional service that he performed in the previous life. And that helped him out to come back to, again, human form of life. Another example is given about the Gajendra Moksha, about elephant, which performed devotional service in this previous life. So devotional service is such that even if an animal unknowingly gets a point, opportunity to hear the transcendental vibrations of the Lord, they get a benefit. But here there's a mention specifically about those who are animals, means it refers to those human beings who are averse to hearing the transcendental vibration of the Lord. I mean, we see that many people, they may be karmis, they may be jnanis, but they are averse to hearing the glories of the Lord. Such people are as good as animals, not exactly animals. They are as good as animals. And in fact, there is a quote in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Srila Haridas Thakur says that by chanting loudly, Mahamantra loudly, even mosquitoes and flies get the benefit of hearing. So that is why Prithu Maharaj is emphasizing that only an animal can give up the practice of chanting Hare Krishna. And that means men who are like animals, like karmis and jnanis, they may give up the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahantra. But those who are intelligent, advanced human, civilized men, they can't give up this process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay, so with this, I conclude the class for the day. If there's any questions or comments on today's thing, anybody can ask me.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhandavat Pranam.
Oh, Dhandavat Prabhu, Govardhan Prabhu, after a long time.
Yeah, I was not in town, Prabhuji, for 2 months.
Okay.
Like I was.
Okay, very nice. Prabhu. Nice to
Thank
hear.
you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, as you were mentioning in the class that when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra,
Yes.
so he is the knower of all the Vedas. So can you elaborate on this? How that is like? Does it mean that everything is inside the Hare Krishna mantra itself, all the Vedas, and how do you understand this?
Yes. The Vedas are very elaborate. It has got a lot of mantras. In Kali Yuga, it is not possible to understand the Vedas in detail. It has got Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. Karma Kanda basically mentions about Vedic karmic rituals. By doing this, you get this benefit. Jnana Kanda has both got to do with speculative knowledge, which I mentioned about leads to Brahma Jyoti. And Upasana Kanda is something, again, it's better than Karma Kanda, but it's got a little bit of devotional service. But in Kali Yuga, none of these can help. By studying the Vedas doesn't help, because the only means of deliverance is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So if one takes up the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he has already studied the Vedas. Means there is nothing else he need to know beyond the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Everything is within that. So you don't
Okay,
have to
Prabhuji.
perform any karmikanda rituals, or you don't have to speculate, indulge in speculative knowledge.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, like as you were mentioning that the Varnashram also, all the Varnashram leads to like devotional activity to the Lord.
Yes.
So how is that, Prabhuji? Because because uh, I can understand Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are all individually, they are in their own this thing, like, the Shudra, they'll be is serving, I don't know. So how can you understand everyone leads to devotional activities, Krishna? How to understand this?
Okay. The Varnashramas is established by the Lord himself. That much is clear. Lord says to Arjuna, Chaturvarna Maya system, Gunakarna Vibhasa. Based on
Yes.
quality and nature, he has designed the system. Now,
Yes.
if you look at the Vedic civilization, the Brahmanas are supposed to be well versed in knowledge. The Kshatriyas are supposed to take that knowledge from Brahmanas and live as per the Brahmanas' knowledge. The Vaishyas are supposed to take the produce and distribute it in a spiritual perspective, unlike the business that is going on today, which is more into cheating. And Shudras are Shudras. So, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, he designed what is called Daivi Varnasrama system. So that if that Varnasrama system, everybody has got an opportunity to become devotees of the Lord. Otherwise, in the earlier Varnasrama system, the Brahmana, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas also had to be elevated somehow or the other. So if they are not progressing that way through devotional service, they get an opportunity to become, after many births of as Kshatriyas, one may get a birth as a Brahmana. After many births as a Vaishya, one may become a Kshatriya. So that is a progressive stage at which one goes through a lot of births until he becomes well-versed in Vedic knowledge. Ultimately becomes a Brahmana. But in this Daivi Varnashrama system, directly anyone who takes up the spiritual path becomes a devotee of the Lord. So Kshatriya can take it up directly, Vaishya can take it up, but everyone does it as a service to the Lord.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So what I understood is like anyone like who chants, it will be a very this thing. Even a Shudra, he can become a Vaishnava by chanting and.
Yeah, that is what today's sloka says. He's already studied all the Vedas.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. And there were a very number of points where, so Mirgari, you were just mentioning, these are all very, very important, Prabhuji. See how, if just by association of a devotee, everything changes.
Yes,
And
Prabhuji.
immediately Mirgari, and in fact, you were mentioning that Mirgari, when Narada Muni said that you will have to, this whom you are killing, they will be killing you in the next, but they are waiting for you when you die, they will kill you again.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, so just by listening to Narad Muni, immediately got changed, Prabhuji. So sometimes nowadays in Kali Yuga, even if a sadhu comes and says something, it's very difficult to digest that, because we argue, no, this is this is not possible, this is not possible. But
Correct.
we can see, we can see the Mirgari case that he is accepting. So how is that possible, Prabhu? How is that Mirgari accepted so easily? Then because he was in such an activity, following his father's orders, was killing and doing others, and he immediately accepted Narada Muni's this thing. Can you
That
highlight this?
was the power of association of a pure devotee like Narad Muni. Narad Muni has got a lot of wonderful disciples like Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, all of them, because that is the power of a great devotee like Narad Muni.
Yes.
So if we associate with such pure devotees, we also have that opportunity.
Yes, yes.
Not only we must associate with them, we must try to serve them, hear from them, and so forth.
Yes. So
clear,
it's very much clear, Prabhu. It's already it's always seen, Prabhu. Whenever like any Guru Maharaj, when they come, when we hear from them, really we get very much enlightened, and it touches our heart. Really,
Yes,
so it depends on the purity and this thing, isn't it, Prabhu?
Correct.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay,
Hare Krishna.
thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments?